Greetings one and all from a beautifully sunshiny London's Regent Park today. We're stopped up on the outer circle on a beautiful motorcycle. This is the Indian Scout, and it's not just any old Indian Scout. This one's mine. Okay, let's jump on then and have a little ride. We'll just take it out and about locally today, just around London. This is only the second time I've ever been on this bike. It was a little bit of an impulse purchase, put it that way. But I'll give you my first impressions of it. Obviously my first impressions were quite good, which is why I bought it. But let's talk about why. Look at this, would you believe we're right in the middle of London? Regent's Park is just stunningly beautiful this time of year. So here we are then on a big American chromed out cruiser. Well, actually Indian call this a mid-size. They don't call it a full-on cruiser because I suppose in context up against their real beasts this is probably quite a small motorbike, but for me the thing's massive and I just love this chilled out, feet forwards, arms slightly raised, leaning back ever so slightly, relaxed ride. It is just something to behold. Absolutely wonderful, and this is kind of exactly what I was looking for in this motorcycle purchase. And by the way, it's kind of worth letting you know I haven't sold anything. This channel will still continue to feature heavily the Royal Enfields, the Tuono, and now a little bit of this one too, and I'm definitely going to be doing my usual thing with it. It's going to get the treatment, it's going to get a few little mods here and there, but we can talk about that in a bit. So I don't know if you saw my video that I uploaded recently talking about the Triumph Speedmaster. That bike was definitely a contender for this purchase, and I'm not going to get into that whole thing of comparing bikes because they are extremely different bikes, but all I'll say is I kind of had my heart set on the Speedmaster until I rode one of these, and it was totally by accident. I literally was just riding past an Indian dealer and they were like, look, do you want to try a Scout? I was like, well, yeah, didn't really know much about them, gave it a go, and it kind of just became everything I was looking for. The criteria is really something practical enough to get luggage on, to get the missus on the back. She's really got into being a pillion, actually. She's gone from never wanting to get on a motorbike ever to giving it a try to absolutely falling in love with it. So part of the reason for kind of hunting in this market, in this style of bike, is that we wanted to get something, you know, fun, classy and practical, and I think it ticks all of those boxes. This bike's got the split rider and pillion pad at the back, and actually it's pretty comfortable. I've got the backrest for it as well. I've got the official Indian saddlebags going on as well, and my god, do Indian know how to charge for this stuff. It's just eye-wateringly expensive. The saddlebags, for example, will cost you around £1,100, and by the way, that excludes the kit that you need to actually fit them to your bike. Yeah, seriously. And then, you know, similar money for the passenger backrest and all that kind of stuff. It's big money for accessories for this thing, which just makes me appreciate all the more just what an amazing job brands like Royal Enfield have done with their lineup. It's just incredible the value that they offer. I recently ordered a little USB hub type thing that goes up here. It's the official one from Indian, and again, crazy money. They want £170. Just laughable. 170 quid. It's like a, but it is like the full kind of dash bezel type thing. It's this little bit here gets replaced, and there's a little USB that goes in the side. It's not on my bike, so yeah, you have to add that in. But little things like that, it starts to really kind of add up in terms of cost. So it's definitely something to consider if you're thinking about getting into the Indian brand. So you might have noticed that this bike sounds a little bit louder than you might expect for a stock bike. That's because it ain't entirely stock even now. It's got the Vance and Hines slash cut pipes, It's got K&N air filter as well. So I think that equals, and correct me if I'm wrong, a stage 1 setup. There's various different stages that you can go through, but air filter and end cans, stage 1, right? And I think you'd agree, sounds absolutely flipping lovely. Now here's an example of a man who doesn't check his mirrors. Or does, but just doesn't care, which is entirely possible. You can hear the fan keep kicking in. The bike does get quite hot actually when you sit in traffic. Definitely something to be aware of. It gets a lot hotter than that Triumph I tried out, I'll tell you that much. But it's also liquid cooled. As you can see by this huge radiator up front, massive great big thing. It's a necessary evil. Kind of sits in between these two big frame forks up front. Almost looks like a giant piano tuning fork or something. But the rest of the bike, I just think is absolutely stunning to look at. The way that they've made the engine an integral part of the structure of the machine, and the way that they've kind of decorated the engine, it's just beautiful. It's just absolutely stunning. There's really not much else to look at on this bike other than, you know, proper mechanical parts that all have a job to do. You know, it hasn't got any fake fins, there's no fake carburetors. It is just two great big huge cylinders protruding up at the world, and I think they look absolutely stunning. Just listen to this bike as we pull away. I'm just going to shut up as we take off from these lights. Ready? It's just so rewarding. It's beautiful burble to it, and the fueling is, well, it's sweet as a nut. It's absolutely lovely. It's not snatchy or lumpy, and for a big V-twin, that's clever stuff. There's some very clever electronics going on in here, and you get the kind of best of both worlds really. It's the magic of the twin and none of those kind of nasty old school characteristics which could just make them a little bit of a handful, and definitely not for the faint-hearted. This one, honestly, it's so easy. It's not much harder than riding a 125. And it's also very nice to be able to get your feet down. I can do the full stand up, which is good. It's probably one of the lowest bikes I've ever been on, which, you know, could be problematic from a cornering standpoint, yet to be fully explored. But these pegs, yeah, I mean, they're pretty low. They're going to be your kind of road whiskers, if you like, your feelers. But hopefully, you know, it's not what this bike's about. It's not about flinging it into corners like a sports bike. I've got bikes for that. It's about taking it easy, man. Taking it easy. So here we are in London's Shoreditch. I'm going to pull up to my favourite little coffee shop, see if my man's in there. My coffee shop's not open. Am I too early? It must be too early. Right, well, I'm going to bike shed then. I normally go there to the bridge. My mate Rico, what a dude. He's obviously having a lie-in today. So, you ever ridden into the bike shed? You'll know there's a bit of a knack to it. You need to make sure you don't accidentally take out half of the coffee drinking public that will be in here. So we have to take it a bit easy, and not stall it as well. It's quiet today. Definitely quiet today. All right.
On the right hand side next to the red ones, type you can.
Yeah, mate. Next to the red one. I'm assuming he means that. Is that Panigale V4? No, it's a baby. Thunder. Let's get some coffee. See, mate, blimming long this thing. Big long schlong. Here we go. Try not to kill anyone. All right, we made it. I'll tell you what though, the coffee in there is flipping strong. Feel properly buzzed up now. Just be calm, relax. Right, so then before we put this bike away, it's worth giving you a quick kind of rundown, I suppose, of some of the things that I've already got planned for this bike, because like most motorcycles, they ain't perfect out of the box, and there's always things you can do to make them better. So I've definitely noticed that and I think it's just par for the course with these bikes, but the suspension on the back could be better. So I'm already looking at a couple of options to get that sorted. Maybe K-Tech, maybe Öhlins, maybe something completely different. I think the official upgrade is by Fox actually on this bike, so maybe that as well. Things to explore. I mean, don't get me wrong, the suspension's not horrendous. I think it's actually far worse on the bobber version of this bike, because you get even less travel. It's not awful, but it could be better, so I'll probably get that changed out, especially if I'm riding 2 up, you know, a little bit of extra comfort and all that. The brakes, well, I mean, to be completely honest, this thing has all the stopping power of a Brittany Ferry. For some ungodly reason, Indian have created a 1/4 of a ton upwards motorcycle and given it a wimpy little 2-pot caliper up front and a 1-potter on the back. So it's yeah, braking's a little bit iffy. I have seen a Brembo P4 kit that you can get, which is basically a little bracket that enables you to put the 4-pot Brembo P4 caliper, and yeah, that could sort it out. That could sort it out. That and a bigger rotor. Stay there, man. That could get us a little bit more anchorage up front, possibly. And there's other little bits. I might change these bars. There's a beautiful set of beach bars that you can get for this bike, blacked out, got a nice little kind of crossbar. They're just beautiful, but again, they're so flipping expensive. I think Indian wants like over £200 for a set of bars. Man, I need to start saving up. And then maybe we'll put a little windscreen on here as well, I don't know. But the priority really is to make it comfortable, up the performance a little bit, and keep all these beautiful good looks intact. But apart from that, there isn't a tremendous amount that this bike needs, really. Fans on again, it's getting warm. Is there a little... we're at 98 degrees. That's the other thing I love about this bike, is it doesn't really have much in terms of, you know, fancy electronics and all that. It's got a very simple dash up here. What's it telling me now? What is that? Miles, trip. It's got a little tack there. You can just cycle through a couple of little small things, but apart from that, I mean, there's nothing complicated here. There's no rider modes. It's just very basic controls. Nothing you need to really think about, which is good on a bike like this. It doesn't need them. It doesn't need anything. So to sum it up, things I love about this bike: the look of it, it's just beautiful. The engine, the chassis, you know, just a wonderfully linear, smooth, characterful V-twin. And the bike itself, it feels like it wants to perform, you know, it's happy to get chucked into corners much more than you would think on a typical kind of cruiser bike. It's pretty nimble, and I think that probably comes down to the fact that it's not massively heavy. You know, although it is a 1/4 of a ton, it's still light for a cruiser, so it does have that kind of nimble, agile feel to it. And you've got other things in there like the geometry, the rake and trail and all that, but you know, let's not get into all that, shall we? It's just a pretty flickable bike for what it is. I do suspect that if it had a skinnier tyre on the front, it would be probably even more agile, but it's perfectly adequate for what I need it to do. As I said, things that could possibly be better: brakes, suspension, all that kind of stuff, you know, can be easily sorted out. Let's see how it handles these nasty speed bumps. Let's hit this one with a bit of speed. Yep, no bottoming out. It does buck you off the seat a little bit, this one. Boom! Yeah, not too bad. And these speed bumps are horrible. I think some of them were actually on Watchdog a few years ago for being illegally high, but Islington Council, being the mafia that they are, literally couldn't give a damn. I think hilariously they corrected the only the speed bumps that were featured in the show and left all the others the same. They honestly don't care. So there you go. By no means a full and thorough review of this bike, just a quick overview, some of my reasons for why I got it, and more of an introduction really. Of course, don't worry, there's still going to be plenty of videos coming up on the Interceptor and the Tuono and the other bikes in the garage. This is just, it's just the shiny new thing. But if you are interested to see how I get on with this bike, don't forget to hit subscribe to the channel. Be great to have you along for the ride. We're almost at 12,000 subscribers now. It's just been an amazing few months of growth on the channel. Can't believe how big it's got. So thank you so much to everyone who's got involved. And until the next one, ride safe.